Hello everyone and welcome to another How Good Is. Today we're going to talk about how good is the Kush. So how good is the Kush? Well, we're going to have to talk about that right here. And something to notice that her name shows right here as Irina Kush. Well, Irina is actually her last name and her first name is Kush. It actually shows it like it shows it the way it is in Japanese, because in Japanese you like say the last name first and then the first name. But her first name is Kush. That's just an important thing to note. So she's an XL Gorilla Dark type, which already makes her, in my book, a top character. But then again, I might be a little bit biased because I like XL characters currently, and I like dark characters, especially dark characters, are like my favorites. So bias aside, what does she actually do? She's a Magia type character with pretty high attack, so she's mostly focused on attack. Her HP is pretty darn low, and her defense is also not that amazing. However, before we move on, we need to talk about something very important. Now, the most important thing to know about Kush is that she's, of course, somewhat vampire themed, right? She's a bit vampire themed, like dark themed, night themed. The reason for that is that Kush, because of her wish, I'm not going to spoil her wish, but if you want to know her wish, just go to YouTube and YouTube Night Wish, Sleeping Sun. Go to that song and go to 1 minute and 2 seconds, and you will hear her wish being said out loud. And because of that wish, she basically cannot stay awake during the day, and during the day she's really very sleepy and falls asleep all the time. She can only stay awake during the night. She's nocturnal, basically only active during the night, and because of that, she's themed after the night, because themed after the dark, after vampires and all that cool stuff. I like that. I'm nocturnal as well. It's always dark outside when I make any of these videos. But that I need to say that. Now, if we take a quick peek at her personal, we see that it gives Magia damage up to all allies, 15%. That is not just really good. That reminds me of something else. But what does it remind me of? We'll talk about that later. We need to move on because we are going to have to talk about that for so much longer later on in the video. Moving on there to a connect, it gives damage up and XLMP gain up, which is, it's so goddamn standard and boring. I'm just going to move on. Moving on, we have her Magia, which damages all enemies. Gives Magia damage up to all allies for 34% at Magia level 5. That is really darn good. Oh my god. It gives Dark Attribute attack up. That is also really darn good. What? How is it? Oh my god, that is so great. Could the double be even better than that? Yes, of course it can be. It also damages all enemies. And I think this is actually a mistranslation. I think this is supposed to be attribute strength and damage. And we can actually go over here. And I think this right here says attribute strength and damage. Right? I think this says attribute strength and damage. I'm pretty certain it does attribute strength and damage. I will actually check that very quickly on my second monitor. I'll plop that into. So here's what I do. Here's what you guys can do as well. If you're ever in a situation like this, is you go to Google Translate. You can just go to Google Translate, and you can just pop the text of the damage in there. Like for example, we have the this text right here. This text tells you what kind of damage it is. You take that, copy, and into Google Translate, paste, and it will show you on the right attribute enhanced damage. Oh, look at that. Like the translation might not be the best. Like if you pop anything else in here, sometimes you get good stuff like damage to be given up. That's not proper English, but you can still get a good understanding of what this stuff actually does. But yeah, if you plop this in here, you will indeed see this is attribute strength and damage. So if we move back to this, yeah, the wiki is wrong. This is attribute strength and damage to all enemies on Magia as well as on Doppel. So this basically just means that if you're fighting against a light type, light types will take bonus damage, like bonus damage, and will get absolutely fucking destroyed. Which means that if there was a light type Kimochi coming up, which there is in the middle of October, wink wink wink, this will be a really powerful character against that. So if you want to place well in the next light type Kimochi, which is coming up mid-October, wink wink, this is a really good unit for that, tailor-made for that. So yeah, it still gives magic damage up to all characters a little bit more, a little bit of dark attribute attack up to all characters as well. 5 turns instead of 3 turns, which is perfect for Kimochi, because Kimochi battles last for about 6 turns. So if you use this even on turn 2, it will last for the entire battle, which is great. And it even, I didn't expect an effect as good as this to be on the doppel, but on the doppel you get MP restore to self, which is absolutely absurd. It's how good of an effect that is, because with a character like Kush, you want to have as much MP as possible to keep pumping out doppels, because she is a doppel focused character. She's a Mage type character with the Excel list. Of course she's focused on doppels. You make it even faster. You make it so much faster to get to even more doppels. Because keep in mind that when you play a character like Kush, you're probably playing MP up Memoria. Like not Excel MP up Memoria, but straight up MP up Memoria. And when you play MP up Memoria, it will increase this 24 you get from this even further. So you'll get even more from that. If you have more MP gain up Memoria, you'll be doubling so much more. It's actually incredible. So now that we know all of that, now that we know that her doppel is actually nuclear against light type characters, especially when you use it multiple times to stack up the Mage damage up, to stack up the dark attribute attack up, to stack all of that up really high. Let's look at the Spirit Enhancement. Is the Spirit Enhancement gonna be able to provide us with more of a bonus towards this playstyle? Goddamn right it does. It gives anti-Magia Seal, which is okay. Damage up with the switches. Doesn't really matter that much. We have a bunch of other stuff that doesn't really matter, like this, as Styles Aim Resistance, yeah, whatever. The important part right here in this is that if you play an attribute strengthened Magia or doppel, you want to use that against light types, because attribute strengthened Magia or doppel is way better against light type. But light types are super effective against Kush as well, right? Because light is of course super effective against Kush. However, you get bonus MP when attacked by the weak element, which is light. Oh, so not only do you want to kill light types with this, light types against you help you even more by giving you more MP. When you get hit by a light type attack, you get 10 bonus MP. That is so much, especially if on top of that you have MP up bonuses, like I just said. If you have even more MP up bonuses on top of that, you get even more than 10 MP. Like with 30% MP up, you get 13 MP bonus instead of 10. What? How good is that? How good is that? Now here's something to note about this, which I think is kind of important to note. Usually I don't tell people to skip notes, like skip special notes, skip ability notes in their Spirit Enhancement, right? I have an entire Spirit Enhancement guide where I say to just get every single special note, every single ability note that you can get. However, on this character, on Kush, it might actually be better not to get the chance to evade. Because here's the thing, if you evade an attack, you don't get the MP up when attacked by weak element. If a light type attacks Kush and she evades, you don't get that bonus MP. So it's actually important not to evade attacks. And so you can say that actually you might want to not actually get parry adept. You need to keep in mind though, while you're doing this, that Kush is very fragile. She has very mediocre defense and very low HP, so she dies really fast. Because of that, it's actually kind of important to make sure that she stays alive somehow. But if you know that she's going to survive the battle anyway, you might not want to actually unlock this note. If you don't know which note this is, you can hover over here. It shows it on screen right now. You can see the way it's written in Japanese is here in katakana. You can see how it's written, and when you're in game, you can just look at this, at all of the different notes, and check for the note that is written exactly in this way, and just not get it. And that might help you out. But that's not all this Spirit Enhancement does. What else do we have? We have double damage up and Magia damage up for 5 turns to self at the start of a quest. That's absolutely great, absolutely fantastic. That is a really great effect to have on your character. Why? Because Magia damage up is really important. But we're going to talk about that in a second. We're gonna have to talk about that. First up though, she also has an active which just gives a little bit of MP to self. the MP damage to enemy is basically useless in most cases. In most cases this doesn't actually matter, but the MP restore itself is really good, especially because if you have MP up Memoria, it will also increase the MP up from this active. That's really good, even more MP. So overall, we can see that she really loves pumping out Magia, loves pumping out Doppel, especially against light types, and especially against light types, she'll also be able to use a lot more Doppels with the MP up from weak element. Absolutely great, absolutely perfect. She basically does the job that Rikaren and that Tokanemu does, like the duo unit Rikaren and the duo unit Tokanemu does. She does the job that both of these units do, but like better, and is now the #1 unit for light type Kimochi, where Magia is important. So with the next light type Kimochi coming up in mid-October, you kind of probably want to use the Kush. Just get the Kush for these guys. Okay, so now we need to talk about something that I mentioned. You see the Magia damage up right here, and I know I bring this up in some other videos as well, like how important Magia damage up is compared to other damage types. But to just very quickly recap, when you get a damage up, for example, you get a damage increase, this effect right here, or you get damage up, this effect right here, or even you get other effects that also like increase damage in some way, like damage up versus witches, but also something like blast up. Blast up is also in here, or damage up against targets inflicted with Stellar's Aemons, which is addict killer, or Doppel damage up. Interestingly enough, Doppel damage up is also counted as a normal damage up. I'm just going to count these as normal damage up. All of these are normal damage ups. All of these get added to one damage up pool. They all get added up together into that one pool that then multiplies your damage. Okay? So if you have already a 100% damage up bonus, and then on top of that you get another 15% damage up bonus, it doesn't actually increase your damage by 15%. It increases your damage by like maybe around 9% or something, because you're going from times 2. From times 2.0 you go to times 2.15, which is an increase of maybe like 9%. It's not that much. So the more you have of this damage up pot, the less it actually does for you, right? The more you have, the less it actually does. However, Magia damage up is separate. Magia damage up is completely separate from all of those pots. Magia damage up is separate, and that's why it actually is way better than all of these effects. Like if you already have a bunch of other damage up effects, an effect like Magia damage up, like from a personal, actually becomes a lot more important. So that's a memory that a lot of people like to use a lot in Kimochi. It's Nemu Circle, which is this one. It gives Magia damage up to all allies, 12.5%. There's also a memory that was recently released during the 4th anniversary that also gives Magia damage up to all allies. Now we have Kushu's personal, which also gives Magia damage up to all allies. And that is kind of what you want to use to maximize your damage, because Magia damage up, it's a separate pot. It's really goddamn important for Magia to really push up to the damage limit. Magia damage is really important. And because of that, if you see a unit like this that actually gives a crap ton of Magia damage up 40% on top of another like 15% through personal, that is so goddamn much. And not just that, we're talking about the entire Fade Weave right here. In this entire Fade Weave, we also have these two Memoria right here. If you look at these two Memoria, you see this Memoria right here, which is the Forza Memoria of this gacha. It gives double damage up, 30% at maximum break to self, 30%, that's quite a lot, and on top of that, another 20% Magia damage up. How fucking good are those numbers? That's like 50, it is actually not 50%, it's more than 50%, it's more than 50% because Magia damage up is in a separate pot of damage increase on a Doppel. Imagine like your Doppel dealing like 3 million damage to each individual tile, and with this, depending on how your buffs look, it might do like 5 million. And even more than that, like 5.5 million. Like it's an actually ridiculous amount of damage increase you get from this. You also have this Memoria right here, which is terrible, who gives a shit. But this Memoria is also really goddamn great. If you're looking for a Magier type damage dealer, this is actually ridiculously powerful. So aside from this Memoria being really goddamn good, and it's part of her Fate Weave, as well as her herself being all about Magier, all about Excel, all about Doppel, and just all about smacking down the light type units like the next Kimochi, what does it actually say about her entire character? If we like actually bring everything together and like have a verdict. The verdict for Kush is that she's very good. She's a very good Kush. She's actually the best character against light types in the game right now. She's actually the best anti-light type character in the game right now, and that alone kind of makes her basically the best character against the next Kimochi by far. So any light type Kimochi, she's gonna be up there, right? I know I said this as well already before on Rikaren and Tokanemu. Rikaren and Tokanemu are still top characters against light type Kimochi, but Kush is a little bit more powerful than them against light type Kimochi. And that's basically all I have to say. Like, if you want the job that Rikaren and Tokanemu does, like specifically hating on light type characters, Kush does it even better. And she's unlimited. Her Memoria that she has in her gacha is even better than those other characters' Memoria. Like, this is absolutely fantastic. There's not much to say about this. I think I've said the same thing like multiple times right now. Super duper good dark type anti-light character. Yeah, there's not much to say about that. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.